When Mia agreed to Ethan's confession, everyone figured I'd lose it and challenge Ethan to a showdown. But even after he finished, I never showed up because Lily was clueless. There I was, sprawled on her best friend's bed, hugging her tight, barely containing a meltdown. The affluent new kid was about to spill his feelings for Lily in front of the whole crowd. Lily had already given everyone a heads up, asking them to keep it hush from me. What she didn't realize was that someone keen on stirring the pot had already let the secret slip. Nobody knew I was totally into Lily. I pictured marrying her someday. Turns out Lily had started feeling the same way about that guy. Everyone thought I'd be livid, not ready to back down without a tussle. Who doesn't love some juicy drama filled with love, hate, and obsession? They were all waiting for me to lose it, rush in, and turn everything upside down. But nope, even when the confession wrapped up, I still hadn't made an appearance. The crowd, packed thick, began to lose interest. Even Lily didn't seem all that thrilled. She grabbed her new guy's arm and whipped out her phone. No calls or texts. Lily furrowed her brows a bit. Then she addressed the crowd. "Tonight, Ethan's treating. Everyone's invited." The students around cheered. It was only then I emerged from behind some bushes. Someone with sharp eyes spotted me and immediately yelled, "Alex! Alex is here!" I knew it. There's no way Alex would hold back and not show up. Lily suddenly looked up, and the second she saw me, the corners of her mouth twitched slightly. I ignored everyone waiting for the drama to unfold and walked straight up to Lily. "Alex." Lily held her new guy's arm tighter. She glanced at me, her voice chill. "You can't force feelings like this. We've known each other for over 10 years. I don't want to say anything harsh and wreck our friendship. From now on, I'll see you as a brother. If I ever need help, you can still come through for me." After that, she lowered her voice slightly. "Everyone's watching. Don't make this awkward. Just leave." I interrupted her and took a slow step forward, her brows knitting together, sounding annoyed. "Alex, chill. Just go home." I smiled and handed her the watch I'd just taken off my wrist. "I'm only here to give this back." Seeing the watch, Lily's face instantly darkened. "Alex, what trick are you playing now? Take the watch back, and I won't bother you again." Lily stared at me, her voice getting colder. "I don't care about this kind of money anymore. If you don't want it, just throw it away." Before she could finish, I turned and tossed the watch into a nearby trash can. "You can toss all the other stuff I gave you, too." With that, I didn't look back and started walking away. Lily stood still until my figure vanished from sight, her expression still a bit sour. Her friends quickly tried to smooth things over. "Heh, Alex is just trying to save face, acting tough. Just watch, Lily. By tonight, he'll regret it. Maybe as soon as we leave, he'll come back crying, digging through the trash for that watch." Hearing that, Lily chuckled. "Whatever he wants. If it wasn't for our family's elders, I wouldn't even bother with him. All right, enough. Don't let him ruin our night. We need to celebrate properly tonight." Lily glanced at her handsome and wealthy new boyfriend, pushing Alex's annoying presence out of her mind. By tomorrow, Alex would be waiting at the dorm, acting like nothing happened, begging her for forgiveness so they could attend classes together. By the time I reached the riverside, the rain was pouring hard. I stood there with an umbrella, thinking about the dreams I'd had over the past few days. In those dreams, I was deeply troubled by Lily and Ethan's relationship and accidentally fell into the river. When I fell, I hurt my spine, lost half my life, and ended up with a permanent disability, never able to walk again. But in the end, Lily never came to see me, not even once. I was adopted by the Lee family, and when they saw me like this, they thought I was worthless. So they sent me back to my birth parents, who were awful, abusive people. My life spiraled downward from there, and I died miserably. After I died, the person I'd always kept at arm's length collected my broken remains. Lily, on the other hand, was happily married to Ethan, never showing up at all. Everything from my dreams had been coming true these days. If it weren't for those dreams, I'd probably be calling Lily nonstop right now. I'm grateful for those dreams. It feels like I've been reborn, slowly changing my tragic fate. On the third try, the call finally went through. I gripped the phone tightly to my ear. The name, Mia, hovered on my tongue a few times before I slowly said it aloud. The heavy rain drowned out the world's noise. Only Mia's slightly tired voice came through softly. "Alex, it's raining pretty hard today. I'm stuck by the river and can't get back. Can you come pick me up?" There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. I gripped the umbrella handle, nervously waiting for her reply. In my dream, when Mia gathered my remains, it looked like she cried. Her tears fell, one by one, onto my decaying flesh and bones. Even in the dream, I could feel the burning heat of her tears. Later, she kept a small bottle of my ashes with her for the rest of her life, living alone, always thinking about that. I instinctively choked and sighed. Mia remained silent. Then she asked, Why are you upset? I didn't say I wouldn't come. Embarrassed, I asked, so when are you coming? She replied, wait for me. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I said, okay, I'll wait for you, Mia. She didn't say another word and hung up the phone. 15 minutes later, I handed my umbrella to a mother and child taking shelter from the rain. So when Mia arrived, I was already drenched from head to toe. When she got out of the car, her lips were pressed tight and her face was cold as ice. I brushed aside my wet bangs and gave her a bright smile. Mia, you're right on time. Alex, you might as well be dead, you idiot, she said coldly, grabbing my arm and pulling me into the car. Then she tossed me a soft blanket. Dry yourself off. Don't mess up the car. No! She glanced at me through the rearview mirror and told the driver to turn the car around. I wiped the water off my head, then I looked up and started watching her through the window reflection. When she had no expression, she always seemed distant and hard to approach. A lot of guys at school liked her, but none dared to confess. She was Lily's best friend and roommate. I used to visit their shared apartment all the time to help Lily move things. And whenever I was there, Mia always seemed to dislike me, even now. Despite coming to get me, she still acted all cold and indifferent. There was no sign she had secretly liked me all along. I shook my head slowly. Everything from my dream had come true, but now, thanks to the changes I made, many things turned out differently. Does Mia still like me? If she doesn't like me at all, am I just adding more trouble for her? She suddenly asked. Going back to the dorm, Mia glanced at me as she spoke. My heart skipped a beat, and before I could stop myself, I said, yeah, to your dorm. Mia suddenly burst into laughter and said, Lily's not coming back tonight. You won't see her even if we go. I awkwardly replied, I know, I'm not looking for her. Mia turned back to look at me, sounding exasperated. Alex, are you just making me part of your little relationship drama? She looked at me, her eyes deep and filled with countless emotions. Suddenly, I felt an inexplicable sadness. I sighed and said, Mia, you know it too, after what happened today. My roommates all laughed at me, calling me a simp, saying I gained nothing from it. I'm thinking of renting a place tomorrow. Can I crash in your living room for just one night? I added. Of course. If it's not convenient, don't worry about it. I'll find somewhere else. After I finished speaking, Mia didn't say another word. But the car was heading toward her dorm. I followed Mia into the dorm. She handed me a towel from the closet and said, the bathroom is over there. After my shower, I hurriedly put on a hoodie and came out drying my hair. Looking for a hairdryer, Mia was sitting on the couch, eyes glued to the TV. She only glanced at me briefly before quickly looking away. I walked past Lily's usual spot and sat down next to her. The shampoo and body wash on me were Mia's. In the small space, the same scent lingered in the air, creating a subtle but undeniable tension. Mia stood up, pressing her lips together and said, it's too stuffy in here. I'll go out to the balcony for some fresh air. She went to the terrace. I curiously looked around at the room's layout. The TV in front of the sofa was playing Pokemon. The coffee table was neatly arranged with books, a laptop, and her phone. Everything was very tidy. I was just about to take a closer look at a small ornament near the corner of the table when Mia's phone suddenly rang, Lily's name flashing on the screen. I didn't answer. The phone rang again and again, almost without stopping. I called out to Mia from the balcony. Mia! She quickly turned around and asked, what's up? Lily's calling. Without hesitation, she picked up the phone and put it on silent. I awkwardly scratched my head. Changing the subject, I accidentally got the couch wet. I might have to sleep on the floor tonight. Mia looked at me, then at the wet spot on the couch, before turning around and handing me a hairdryer. In a low voice, she said, just sleep in my bed tonight. I asked, what about you? She pulled out a chair, not even looking back. I'm gonna binge watch my shows. Oh. Mia grabbed her headphones, about to put them on, when my phone suddenly rang. It was Lily, annoyed. I answered the call and said, Lily, what do you want? Mia frowned but didn't say anything, just glanced at me before turning back to her screen. Lily asked, someone told me they saw you go to our dorm. I'm warning you, don't cling to me. The more you do this, the more I'll hate you. I was speechless and just about to respond. But before I could say anything, Mia stood up and came over, straddling my lap, hooking her arm around my neck. Instinctively, I started to push her away, but she leaned in close to my ear and whispered, Alex, tell her you're here for someone else. Her fingers brushed the back of my neck, and my skin instantly heated up like it was on fire. My brow furrowed, and my heart pounded in my chest. I looked down at her, and she looked up at me. Her eyes gradually filled with desire. Hoarsely, I said, stop flattering yourself. Okay, I'm here for someone else. As soon as I said that, she grabbed my phone and tossed it aside, burying her head in my chest. The next second, I clearly felt a volcano of heat rising within me. The buzzing in my ears grew louder, and my first thought was to get up and cool off. But Mia clung to me tightly, lifting her head and softly whispering my name. Alex. Her warm breath fell on my ear. I struggled to control myself, leaning down to kiss her lips as she gently broke through my defenses. I tried to regain some sanity, saying, "Don't tempt me. I don't want to touch you in this place." Mia shifted her body, trying to adjust her position. The volcano inside me felt like it was about to erupt, fierce and overwhelming. Between breaths, she questioned, "If you don't want to touch me, why did you kiss me?" Mia tilted her head, her forehead pressed against mine as our breathing entwined. I closed my eyes, trying to calm down. She added, "Also, do you even know how to kiss? My lips are swollen now." I gently placed my right hand on her waist, my left holding hers softly. I said, "Mia, I'll be more gentle this time." As my words fell, my hands moved to her lower back. I pulled her close, pressing her against me. This time, the kiss was long and tender, but toward the end, I lost a bit of control and wasn't as gentle as I'd intended. She lightly hit me and, between breaths, bit me. Alex. I tried my hardest to suppress the volcano, but it was already threatening to erupt again. Clearly, Mia felt it too. Her face showed surprise, her ears turning a deep shade of red. The usually cold and distant goddess now looked shy and flustered. She bashfully said, "I'm going to take a shower." She stood up quickly, avoiding my gaze, and adjusted my shirt before saying, "You go to sleep." Before I could respond, Mia rushed into the bathroom. As the sound of water echoed from the bathroom, I lay down on Mia's bed and began to drift off. Mia was tall, with bright eyes and pearly teeth, the recognized goddess of the campus confession wall. Yet, she had never had a boyfriend, nor had she ever gotten close to a guy. There were even rumors that she wasn't into men, but after everything that happened tonight, I couldn't help but think back to the dream of her growing old alone, and a wave of complicated emotions washed over me. Lying on Mia's pillow, I stretched out and accidentally found a pearl earring underneath. The earring looked familiar. It was the same one I had given to the girls in their dorm as a gift when I was pursuing Lily. I hadn't expected Mia to keep it under her pillow this whole time. Suddenly, I remembered. In the dream, Mia had kept this earring with her all her life. I stared at it for a long time, then gently placed it back under her pillow. The sound of the hairdryer stopped. When Mia came out, she was wearing a light beige cotton pajama set. The steam from the shower made her skin glow like jade. Her hair fell softly, and her usual aloofness seemed to fade a little. For some reason, she looked incredibly sweet and cute in that moment. Just as I was about to call her name, faint voices came from outside the door. I froze, stunned. Among the voices, one was unmistakably Lily's. Mia was also clearly flustered, but she reacted faster than I did. By the time Lily pushed open the door, my clothes were already hidden in the wardrobe, and my shoes were shoved deep under the bed. Mia was already in bed pulling up the covers. Only a small nightlight was on in the room, casting dim shadows. I was hiding under Mia's blanket, barely noticeable except for the slight rise and fall. Even if Lily came closer, she wouldn't notice anything unless she looked carefully. "Why'd you turn off the light so early?" Lily asked. "Curious. I got a headache from the rain," Mia replied, scratching her palm under the blanket. The bed was only about 4 feet wide, and with Mia's height and long legs, she took up most of the space. My body was pressed against hers, my breath brushing lightly against her waist. I could feel the tightness in her abdomen. All right, Lily didn't turn on the lights. She sat down on a chair, picked up her phone, and started making calls. She tried several times, but no one answered, and her frustration was obvious. "Mia, do you think Alex is doing this on purpose?" "Huh. Ethan just confessed to me today, and now Alex is acting like this to mess with me. I saw on the news that a college student jumped into the river over a breakup. I thought he couldn't handle it, but when they pulled the body out, it wasn't him. Then he told me he's with some other woman now, and now he won't answer his phone." Lily tossed her phone onto the table. "He's doing this on purpose, trying to ruin my night." After a pause, Lily scoffed. "I bet he'll be stuck on me for the rest of his life." "Maybe not," Mia suddenly chimed in. Lily looked surprised. "Not?" Mia suddenly chimed in again. "Lily, you've seen how he's been clinging to me these past 2 years. You've never liked him either. Always giving him the cold shoulder." Hearing this, I couldn't help but pinch the soft skin on Mia's waist. Mia winced slightly, her whole body tensing up as she let out a very faint hiss. "What's wrong with you?" "Nothing, just a leg cramp." Mia's voice was soft as she spoke, followed by a couple of coughs. "All right, I'll let you rest. I won't bother you anymore," Lily said as she stood up. "I'll just use the bathroom and then head out." As she pushed open the bathroom door, a thought suddenly struck me. Earlier, when I was showering, I had washed my socks and left them hanging in there. Sure enough, it wasn't even 2 minutes later that Lily came out with a mischievous smile on her face. Mia, did you bring a guy to the dorm? You hid it so well. Which guy managed to win over our ice queen? Mia, Lily said, don't be ridiculous. Lily took a few steps closer to the bed. Going to bed this early? Is someone hiding under the covers? Lily's voice suddenly turned cold. All right, I won't come any closer. Lily stopped in her tracks, but she looked at Mia's bed with great interest. Just make sure you're being safe. I've got plenty of protection if you need it. Don't want any little angels showing up unexpectedly. I squeezed Mia's clenched fist. Mia finally looked at Lily. Her voice was a bit chilly. I don't like that kind of joke. It's not funny. You're serious? Lily seemed a bit surprised. Mia's lips tightened. Yeah, if the light had been a little brighter, Lily would have seen just how hard Mia was struggling to hold it together. After all, she had her arms wrapped tightly around her upper body to keep me from moving. But that didn't mean I couldn't move other parts. Hidden under the blanket, where no one could see, I gently stroked Mia's thigh. Every time I touched her, she shivered. All right then, I won't disturb you two. I'm staying out tonight. Lily spoke with a knowing tone, glancing once more at Mia's bed. But in her heart, there was a hint of disdain. Mia, who always appeared pure and untouchable, so cold towards men, now didn't seem so unattainable after all. If her guess was right, there was probably someone under Mia's blanket. But Lily didn't call her out on it. After all, her relationship with Mia was still fine, even though Mia's popularity sometimes irked her. There wasn't much animosity between them. Lily turned and left the dorm. As soon as the door closed, I threw off the blanket, gasping. Mia! Mia leaned against the headboard, her deep gaze fixed on me. The dim light fell on her striking features, casting large shadows across her face. I found myself momentarily stunned. She looked even more beautiful under the soft glow. The shadows gave her a mysterious and captivating aura. Alex. Mia slowly stood up. She reached up and brushed a strand of hair behind her ear, then looked at me seriously and said, I've never been annoyed by you. I've never given you the cold shoulder. Don't believe what she says. With that, Mia turned her head away. She threw off the covers and got out of bed, saying, Go to sleep. What about you, Mia? She picked up a cup, gesturing toward the living room. I'm going to watch my shows. You go ahead and sleep. I grabbed her hand and said suggestively, Mia, it's a bit cold tonight. The blanket's too thin. But this time, Mia pushed my hand away. Alex, Lily's gone. You don't have to keep pretending anymore. What does she have to do with it? Mia let out a self-deprecating laugh and asked, Why were you by the river tonight? It finally clicked for me. Lily's comment earlier about someone jumping into the river had made her think I went there because I was desperate, that I came back with her to the dorm just to spite Lily. I could see why she'd think that. Over the past 2 years, my adoptive parents, the Lee family, had been putting pressure on me. After they found their real son, they considered sending me back to my biological parents. Later, perhaps seeing that I still had some value through my engagement with the Liu family, they begrudgingly kept me around. To me, Lily had become a lifeline. I thought that, since we'd grown up together, she would feel something for me. And I clung to the hope that she would help me out. I pinned all my hopes on Lily, but to everyone else, it just looked like I was obsessed with her, driven mad by love. And then there was Mia as Lily's best friend. She must have witnessed so many moments when I pathetically clung to her. Mia, I wanted to explain, but she was already standing up, set an alarm, and planning to leave early tomorrow. You don't want anyone seeing you. She didn't stop, didn't even turn back. I gritted my teeth and said, Then what about all those times you kissed me tonight? What about everything we did earlier? What did that mean? Mia suddenly stopped in her tracks. She turned around to look at me, her eyes reddening. I continued, I know you're tired of me, but tonight, thank you. If you really don't want anything to do with me, I'll leave now. I got out of bed, not caring that I couldn't find my shoes, and walked barefoot toward the door. As I passed by Mia with my head down, I realized her face was already streaked with silent tears. Alex, Mia. I grabbed her. I told you I don't hate you. I immediately pulled her into my arms and asked, Then, do you want me to take responsibility for you? She hesitated, and before she could answer, I cupped her chin and kissed her deeply. She responded with the same passion. Her breathing grew heavier. She whispered, Alex, if you really want to take responsibility for me, then do it completely. I held her slim waist and solemnly replied, I will. During the long holiday, I went to the city where my biological parents lived. I stayed there for 3 days. By the time I left, those 2 rotten people, addicted to gambling, drinking, and worse, had already been taken away by the police. What awaited them was the harsh and unrelenting hand of the law, human trafficking, gambling rings, and forcing women into prostitution. Thanks to those dreams, I had all the evidence. I didn't need a second life or a rebirth. In this life, I could completely rid myself of these devils and ensure they were punished as they deserved. As I boarded the plane, I let out a long breath. The biggest burden on my mind had finally been lifted. In that moment, I felt free and completely relaxed for the first time. When the plane landed in the capital, the first thing I did was let Mia know I was safe. She didn't know the real purpose of my trip. Thinking I had just gone on a short trip with friends, Mia asked, "Are you ready for me to come over tonight? I'm planning to move into my new place. It's no longer convenient for me to stay in the same dorm as Lily." I replied, "Everything's ready. You're welcome anytime." She paused for a moment and added, "Alex?" I asked, "What's up?" She said, "It's Lily's birthday today, and she's throwing a party tonight. She told me to bring my boyfriend." I had forgotten. Lily's birthday was during the National Day holiday. "Alex, do you want to go with me?" I didn't answer right away, feeling conflicted. It wasn't that I didn't want to go public with my relationship with Mia, but soon the family might sever ties with me. When that happened, the truth about my poor background would be revealed to the world. I knew Mia wouldn't care, but I didn't want her to be criticized by others. Just like in the dream, they had condemned her for being with a man of low status, calling her unfilial and disrespectful, breaking her family's heart. But as Mia had said that day, since I wanted to take responsibility for her, I had to take full responsibility. You can't have it all after all. "Mia," I took a deep breath and asked, "Do you want me to go?" "Yes," she answered without hesitation. "Then come pick me up, and we'll go together." I was still holding the phone when I looked up and caught my reflection in the window. I realized I was smiling brightly. "Alex, look outside." When I looked up, it was like a scene from a movie. Everything was moving in slow motion. The smile still hadn't faded from my face as the airport announcements faded into the background. In the bustling crowd, I saw only Mia. She waved at me, and without caring about anything, she ran straight toward me. I dropped my luggage and spread my arms. She threw herself into my embrace with so much force, but I still caught her securely. She wrapped her arms around my neck, her face beaming as she teased, "You've got a strong core, huh?" I looked down at her and chuckled. "My back's strong too. Want to test it?" She poked my shoulder and whispered in my ear, giggling, "Test it. You might be quick to run out of steam." I shook my head, exasperated, and muttered, "Just you wait. Don't beg for mercy. Crying won't help." Tonight's birthday party was, as expected, packed with people. Lily made her grand entrance in a stunning purple silk gown, the smooth fabric clinging to her slender frame, swaying lightly with each step like starlight moving through the night. Ethan, looking dashing and confident, wore a custom-tailored suit, with every detail from his cufflinks to his hair perfectly in place. The two of them together made a striking pair. Ethan, basking in the praise of his friends, glanced over at Lily, but she seemed a bit distracted. "Lily!" Ethan called her name a few times before she snapped out of it. "What is it? It's getting late. Everyone's hungry, but not everyone's here yet? Who's missing?" "Mia hasn't arrived." Ethan nodded. "Oh, and I remember. Alex hasn't shown up yet either." Someone else chimed in. "Yeah, it's Lily's birthday. No way Alex would miss this." But Lily cut them off. "I didn't invite him. Even if he comes, I won't let him in." Ethan tried to calm her down. "Lily, don't get upset. It's your birthday today. Don't let an irrelevant person ruin your mood." "Right." Lily looked at Ethan and nodded. Ethan really was handsome and wealthy, and he knew how to charm women. Alex, though sweet, wasn't what she wanted. So when Ethan appeared, she was instantly drawn to him. But after getting together, she realized he wasn't as great as she'd imagined. This past month, Alex hadn't been waiting for her outside the dorm. They hadn't gone to class or the cafeteria together. He'd completely vanished from her life. Even when they occasionally crossed paths at school, he would turn and walk away. Lily had to admit she wasn't used to it. Yes, that was all it was, just a matter of habit. She wasn't used to someone who had always revolved around her suddenly becoming cold. She wasn't interested in Alex, nor would she risk upsetting her family for a fake heir like him. But they had known each other for years. Lily thought to herself, maybe tonight, if Alex couldn't resist and came to find me, I wouldn't need him to grovel, as long as he apologized sincerely. I'd allow him to stay in my life. Suddenly, the door to the private room swung open. Guess who I just saw? The guy who entered looked eager to gossip. His eyes fell on Lily. Who? Stop teasing us. Yeah, spill it. It couldn't be Alex, could it? It actually is Alex. Lily. We told you. Alex can't stay away from you. See? He couldn't resist tonight, could he? Lily didn't say anything, but the displeasure on her face quickly faded. Ethan, however, wasn't as pleased. His expression darkened as he tugged on Lily's arm. Half pleading, half commanding, he said, Lily, can you tell Alex to leave? He's been clinging to you like a stray dog for so long. Just thinking about it makes me sick. Lily looked at Ethan, finding him more appealing in that moment than she had earlier. Her mood suddenly lifted, even though she had decided to forgive Alex. He still needed to be punished for making her angry these past few weeks. Fine, let him leave then, Lily replied casually. Who are you asking to leave? Alex's voice came from behind, soft but clear enough for everyone to hear. The large room fell into sudden silence because everyone had seen it. The slightly open door had been pushed wide and Alex walked in with Mia. Joanna! Lily didn't move from her seat, but suddenly she threw the glass she was holding onto the ground. The shards cut her ankle. Ethan, flustered, said, Lily, you're bleeding! Get out! Lily, I said, get out! Didn't you hear me? Lily stood up abruptly, angrily kicking aside the broken glass. Ethan stood there, stunned for a while, before finally storming out in anger. The rest of the guests in the room quickly followed suit, sensing the tension. Blood dripped from Lily's ankle onto the floor, but she didn't seem to feel any pain. She just stared fiercely at Mia. After a long moment, she finally pointed at me and asked, Mia, care to explain? Mia only smiled lightly and asked in a calm tone, Explain what? Why is Alex here with you? You invited me to bring my boyfriend to your birthday party, remember? Mia clung to my arm, leaning against me closely. Lily's anger flared like a cat bristling. She swept all the cups and glasses off the table with a furious swipe of her hand. She screamed, Mia, do you even know that Alex is mine? Mia, she asked, yours in what way? Is he your boyfriend, your fiancé? Or do you think just because someone once liked you, they have to stay in love with you forever while you get to string them along? Lily ignored her and continued, You knew Alex liked me and you still went behind my back. Is this how you treat your best friend? With that, she reached out to grab my arm. I grasped her shoulder and shoved her hard, causing her to fall to the floor, her purple dress soaking in the spilled wine. I said, exasperated, Lily, stop flattering yourself and stop clinging to me. There's nothing between us, so there's no wall to be broken. Even if Mia dug up your grave, she wouldn't find me. And by the way, I'm the one who sought her out. I don't like you, no. I haven't liked you for a long time. Did you hear that clearly? I looked at her, realizing that I had long since let go. After all, any man with even a shred of self-respect couldn't keep liking someone who treated him like she did, like a toy to be called and dismissed at will. Maybe during those years when we grew up together, there was a bit of vague affection. But after my true identity was exposed and your attitude changed, those feelings had long faded to dust. Alex, what did you say? Lily looked like she'd just heard the most ridiculous thing in the world. She struggled to her feet and said, You almost jumped into the river for me, and now you're saying you don't like me. I sighed. I never intended to jump into the river for you. It's not that serious. Who do you think I am? The reason I went to the river that night was to find an excuse to see Mia. Lily froze, staring at me with wide eyes. After a long moment, she glared at me, gritting her teeth as she spat out her words one by one. So that night, the person in Mia's bed was you. Yes, it was me. Lily, just focus on your own relationship. I told you that night I will never come looking for you again. And I meant it. With that, I didn't spare her another glance. I took Mia's hand and turned to leave. Mia, let's go home. You wanted to see what the new place looks like, right? But Mia didn't move. She looked at Lily with a calm yet sharp gaze. She said, Lily, Alex is my boyfriend. He has nothing to do with you. I don't want to hear you spreading rumors that he's somehow still yours. Lily, completely losing her composure, turned to me and screamed in frustration, Alex, you say you like me, then turn around and leave me for someone else. Do you think you're worth anything? I shook my head and replied, If you don't know what I'm worth, why don't you go home and ask your father? Lily fell silent. She glared at me with a twisted expression, her once beautiful face now filled with something ugly and unrecognizable. She said, Alex, Mia doesn't know, does she, that you're not really the true heir of the Lee family? Keeping such a big secret from her is not very nice, don't you think? Although I had already prepared for the truth about my origins to come out, hearing Lily expose it so suddenly still caught me off guard. Seeing my reaction, Lily laughed. So, you've been keeping it from her. I knew it. Mia is only with you because she thinks you're some rich heir. If she knew the truth, that you're just an adopted nobody, she'd ditch you in a heartbeat, wouldn't she? Lily. Mia suddenly let go of my hand. She rolled up her sleeves and removed her bracelet, handing it to me. With each word she said clearly and firmly, I always thought you were a fickle, untrustworthy person, but I never considered you evil. But now I see that I was wrong. Mia stepped forward, grabbing Lily by the hair and yanking her toward her, causing Lily to scream in pain. Just as Lily was about to fight back, Mia raised her arm and slapped her across the face again and again with all her strength. As she slapped her, she said, "You're not just a worthless piece of trash, but also a despicable lowlife. And another thing, Lily, I'm not like you. I don't care about who's rich or who's the heir of whatever family. I like Alex for who he is, not for his name or family. If his name were Alex or Chenja, I would still love him just the same." Lily's face turned bright red, but she still retorted, "A guy like him. Who knows how many girls he's tricked into sleeping with using a fake identity? Trash attracts trash. You two deserve each other." Before she could finish, I stormed forward, burning with rage, and delivered a slap that knocked one of her teeth out. She fell to the ground, clutching her mouth in pain. Too shocked to speak, Mia grabbed my arm as I was about to continue, urging me, "Alex, stop! You'll get into trouble." I nodded, stopped, and took her hand. "Mia, let's go home." As we reached the car, I stopped and called her name. "Mia, do you believe me?" "What?" I looked straight into her eyes. She was wearing a light-colored silk blouse, her teary-eyed look making her appear delicate and vulnerable. It made her earlier actions of slapping Lily seem even more captivating. I felt incredibly moved by her. For 4 years, I had tried so hard to prove something, desperately clinging to any lifeline I could find. But it always ended in disappointment. The elders who once doted on me no longer cared. They didn't hit me, but their cold indifference was more than enough to crush a teenager's spirit. My biological parents were greedy demons, and I lived in constant fear of being sent back to them, where my life would be ruined forever. Even the childhood friend I grew up with looked down on me, and until my last breath, I didn't realize there had been someone who had quietly loved me all along. Luckily, everything from that dream would never happen now. I said, "I really didn't go to the river because of Lily. And also, I've never been with anyone before. You're my first and only girlfriend, Alex." Mia stood on her toes and kissed me. I wrapped my arms around her shoulders, kissing her back. Finally, she gently rubbed my palm and whispered, "Alex, I don't care about any of that, but hearing you say it still makes me happy." I nodded and said, "I know. Mia, I'm telling you this because I don't want anyone to throw dirt on my name. I'm doing this for you, but also for myself." With that, I smiled and pulled her in even tighter. "Mia, let's hurry home. You're dressed too lightly. You'll catch a cold." "All right." She held my hand tightly, very tightly, and from that moment, she held it for the rest of our lives. Before Mia and I made our relationship completely public, I went to the Lee family and had a long conversation with the elders. In the end, with some help from Marcus, the true heir of the Lee family, I regained my independence and was no longer tied to the Lee family or my biological parents. I chose this moment because I knew the Lee family and my biological parents too well. If they learned about my relationship with Mia, they would cling to the Sue family like leeches, and I didn't want to drag Mia or her family into that mess. As I left the Lee household, Mrs. Lee wasn't too pleased. "Alex, we raised you all these years, spent millions on you, and we haven't gotten a single penny in return." But my mindset had completely changed by then. The Lee family had raised me for 16 years, and until the real Lee son returned, I had lived a difficult few years, but they hadn't starved me. Even Marcus, who once harbored hostility toward me, had unexpectedly changed his attitude. It was true that he had once been involved in the decision to kick me out of school and send me back to my biological parents. But now he was also the one who helped me resolve my final issues and convinced Mrs. Lee not to air my dirty laundry publicly. Now I was free. I was Alex again, no longer bound by anyone or anything. I was content. "Madam," I bowed respectfully, "I will never forget your kindness in raising me." "Easy for you to say." Mrs. Lee looked at me coldly. "You couldn't even win over a childhood friend like Lily. What future do you have? Forget it. Just go. I can't stand the sight of you." I didn't bother explaining further. I just shot Marcus a look. "Mom, I'll walk Alex out," Marcus said. Her expression softened immediately. "Come back soon. We're having dinner." "Got it." Marcus smiled and led me out of the house. We stopped in the garden, we looked at each other, and suddenly we both burst into laughter. "Bro," I hugged him. "Thank you." At the same time, Marcus quietly said, "Alex, I'm sorry." We didn't say much more, but we both understood. Marcus's apology was for the Alex in the dream. My eyes grew red, and Marcus shed tears too. Finally, he squeezed my hand tightly and said, "Alex, this time you have to be really, really happy." "I will, bro. You too," I replied. I would repay the family's kindness in raising me by helping Marcus in the future. He had suffered for 16 years while I had lived in comfort for those same 16 years. In the dream, I had once hated him, but now I let go of all the past grudges. When Mia took me to meet her parents, I was genuinely nervous. Mrs. Sue had become a devout Buddhist in recent years, though I didn't know why. Every year, without fail, she would go to Pajisi Temple to burn the first incense of the year. Don't be nervous, my mom has become very kind-hearted since she started practicing Buddhism, and my dad just goes along with whatever she says. I nodded, trying to suppress the anxiety rising in my chest. I was about to mentally rehearse the lines I'd prepared when Mia suddenly said, "Alex, my mom's already coming out to meet us." Sure enough, Mrs. Sue was walking down the steps toward the car. I had no choice but to steady myself and face her. "Mom, this is Alex." "Hello, ma'am." I greeted her politely and handed over the gift I'd prepared. Mrs. Sue smiled as she accepted the gift, but her eyes never left me. Even after we entered the living room, she continued to observe me intently. Then she suddenly insisted on taking me upstairs to the study. I was a bit worried and glanced at Mia for reassurance, but Mrs. Sue patted my shoulder and said, "Don't be nervous, Alex. Let's just have a little chat upstairs." Then she turned back and teased Mia with a smile. "No need for you to be nervous either. I'm not a monster, am I?" All I could do was offer a stiff smile and nod. Mrs. Sue seemed to be in an exceptionally good mood, holding onto my hand as we went upstairs. "Look, Mr. Sue, isn't Alex just as I said, handsome and refined?" Mr. Sue, a gentle and scholarly man, nodded repeatedly. "Indeed, he's very well-mannered. A good young man." I was completely bewildered, unsure of what was going on. Mrs. Sue's eyes were red as she explained, "Alex, don't get the wrong idea. This might sound strange, but I've been having the same dream for years. In the dream, Mia never married because of a boy, and she passed away all alone in her 40s. At first, her father and I didn't believe it. We thought it was just a dream. But then, piece by piece, everything else from the dream came true." Her tears flowed freely as she continued. "I've spent these years praying and following a vegetarian diet, all for Mia. I was truly scared that the final part of the dream would come true. I always thought if that boy really existed, how wonderful it would be if he could be with Mia. And now, seeing you, I know my prayers weren't in vain. Alex, you and Mia must take good care of each other." My vision blurred with emotion. In this world, there were people like my biological parents. And then there were people like Mrs. Sue who loved their children fiercely. How lucky was I to have found Mia and to have such a good family. Finally, all the regrets from the dream had been resolved. Mia and I graduated from university and got married. We moved into our own home, and one day, while I was taking a shower, Mia pulled out the pearl earring I had always kept. But this time, she put it on, and only the earring. When I came out of the bathroom, I was lying in bed, completely covered by the blanket, pretending to sleep. "Mia?" I kissed her cheek softly, my lips warm against her skin. It tickled, and my lashes fluttered, but she kept her eyes closed. I chuckled lowly and kissed her again before pulling back the blanket to get into bed. But as soon as I lifted the covers, I froze. "Mia?" The soft glow from the bedside lamp gently illuminated the room, casting a warm light over me. The pearl earring glinted under my hair. Between the curves and shadows, the light accentuated every rise and fall. The red of my skin stood out stark against the pale white of the sheets. It was like delicate cherries in a jade bowl. At first I was shy, my body stiff with nervousness, but when I saw the look on Mia's face, all the tension melted away. I sat up and pounced into her arms, wrapping my arms around her neck. I whispered in her ear, "Alex, do you like it? You're staring so hard." I could feel every muscle in her body tense. Her skin burned as if her blood was boiling. Her Adam's apple bobbed, and it was incredibly enticing. I turned my head and gently bit her throat. It was like opening the floodgates or waking a dormant volcano that suddenly erupted. In an instant, I flipped her onto the bed, taking control. My kisses were intense, deep, and overwhelming. She could hardly keep up. It felt like I was consuming her piece by piece, Mia. I kept repeating her name over and over, never tiring. When it became too much, I whispered tenderly, "If it hurts, bite me." She closed her eyes, nodding softly. Her nails raked down my back, leaving scratches, and she bit into my shoulder, leaving deep marks. But it still hurt. It hurt so much I couldn't help but cry. "Alex!" Tears filled her eyes as she looked at me, feeling a bit aggrieved. I looked terrifying in that moment. I instinctively thought she wouldn't be able to stop herself, but I froze, pulling her into my arms. She clung to my waist, and suddenly I remembered that day at the airport. I couldn't help but ask, "Didn't you say back then that crying and begging wouldn't work?" The desire in her eyes hadn't faded. It was clear how much she was restraining herself, how agonizing it was for her. I hugged her tightly. Her voice was hoarse as she whispered, "I can't bear it, Mia." When did you start liking me?" I didn't answer. She hugged me even tighter, threatening, "Not talking. Then I won't tell you when I started liking you either." Despite the passion in her gaze, there was also an overwhelming tenderness beneath it. Unable to resist her persistence, I finally answered, "From the first time I saw you, Mia, I once thought I'd never get the chance to tell you." I kissed the corner of her lips and said gently, "It's all right, Mia. Now we have a whole lifetime to be together." Yes, we have a lifetime now. Our fingers intertwined at some point, and as I leaned up to kiss her, she lowered her head and kissed me back, tenderly and deeply. "Alex, I don't think it hurts anymore. Do you want to keep going?" The room was soon filled with the kind of sounds that made one's face flush. They lingered for a long time. That night felt like it would never end, and even longer than the night was the lifetime we had ahead of us.